Welcome to Creature Guide Live Daily News. My name is Ethan. I'd like you to put in the comments what you liked about this video, what you didn't like about this video, and what you would wish I would include more of in this video. Now, let's dive into the animal news of the day. From IndianDefenseReview.com, 265 million year old fossil reveals the largest South American prehistoric predator. A 265 million-year-old fossil found in Brazil reveals Pampafonius bicae or Baikai, the largest predator before dinosaurs. Well, I'm guessing this sounds like it could be a rival for a member of if it's talking about specifically land based predators, this would be a rival for the largest species of Gorgonopsian, which existed during the Permian around, 250, somewhere between 252, 254 million years ago. And that distinct Gorgonopsian was somewhere around 1,000 pounds. This animal might have been larger. Yep, here we go. It definitely is a Gorgonopsian. It's an interesting display. So yes, they were carnivores, and these are members of the Therapsid lineage of synapsids. And so these are technically proto mammals. Now, therapsids contain proto mammals as well as the ancestors of true mammals as well as mammals. So anything from a polar bear to an African elephant, people are all therapsids. And a proto mammal is so it's something like the Gorgonopsians or even the Dicynodonts that occurred during this time are all proto mammals, and they were warm blooded. Many or they used to be referred to as mammal like reptiles, but it is now much more agreed upon that they are a distinct lineage of synapsids that would eventually go extinct towards the end of the Triassic period. And then the mammals would continue to increase in variety. Um, m- but it's also very likely that these animals had fur, despite them um, not being true mammals. So paleontologists have uncovered a 265 million year old fossil of Pampafonius bicae, one of South America's largest. We already said that. This discovery in southern Brazil sheds light on pre-dinosaur ecosystems and the events leading up to Earth's largest extinction. The find underscores Brazil's significance in paleontology, with the study in the Zoological Journal of Linnean Society highlighting how such fossils offer critical insights into ancient ecosystem. Now, the thing is that with the Gorgonopsians, they are one of the first animals to evolve distinct elongated canines. Technically, you could say that the earlier members of the synapsid lineage, such as Dimetrodon, so somewhere around 275 to 280 million years ago, already had distinct canines, but they were much smaller in size. Now, Gorgonopsians had much longer canines, possibly reaching somewhere around, I believe, 5 inches at least. Now, despite them having long canines, they are not close relatives of the later saber-toothed cats of the Cenozoic era, or even the members of the Uintatheridae lineage of mammals, such as the Uintatheres during the Paleocene and Eocene epochs. So these larger animals, referring to the Uintatheres I'm talking about, weighed somewhere around 2.5 to 3 tons on occasion. But they were quite herbivorous despite them having their elongated canines. It's a bit of a question as to what those canines would have been used for. With the Gorgonopsians, it's very likely that they were used to help um, slice off chunks. Well, not even just necessarily, helping with them slicing off chunks of flesh, but as well as targeting the throat region and cutting the major arteries and the windpipe of the animals that it preyed on. Now, this is an earlier relative of the Gorgonopsians. This is Dimetrodon. So this animal existed over in northern Texas around 275 million years ago and preyed on distinct amphibians in the region, such as the Diplocaulus. And the Diplocaulus was a part of a distinct branch of amphibians during this time. I believe possibly the Temnospondyls And the temnospondylus, they first evolved somewhere around 350 million years ago during the beginning of the Mississippian stage of the Carboniferous period. But this is later into the Permian. Dimetrodon is very unique. So it is one of the first proto mammals to evolve. And this animal could reach a length of around 15 feet or a little over 4 meters in length and probably weighed close to um, 800 pounds. Well, no, that's a bit of an overestimate. Probably around 5 to 600 pounds or 250 kilograms. But the thing is that Dimetrodon was also a meat eater. There is a lot of evidence for Dimetrodon specifically feeding on, or at least biting off the snouts of different Diplocaulus individuals, because Diplocaulus, or also known as the boomerang amphibian, there's evidence for it being a burrower. So while the Diplocaulus was probably feeding on different species of insects in the region. Gorgonopsians are probably feeding on different species of Dicynodonts during the Permian, and as well, even different members of um, certain distant relatives of turtles, specific terrestrial anapsids. Animals such as, like, the more famous Scutosaurus is something that even possibly Inostrancevia might have been feeding on. So its lineage of well, this is the Diplocaulus, the boomerang amphibian. They could reach over 5 feet in length. Now, these animals also had a very unique um, eyesight. So it looks like they could only see straight up in the air, which would have benefited them when watching for insects that would sway over the water, as they're completely camouflaged with the red dirt of the region. But it's also, a mixture of mud. And there would have been quite a few, wetlands within the region. The fossil, discovered in the rural region of São Gabriel in southern Brazil, presents an exceptional specimen of Pemphiphonius spicae. It includes a nearly complete skull and several other key skeletal remains, such as ribs and arm bones. This discovery is particularly significant because it marks only the second known specimen of this species ever found in South America. The first was discovered decades ago, but this latest find is even more complete and offers unparalleled insights into the physical characteristics of the creature. Researchers note that Pemphiphonius likely played a dominant role in the ecosystems of the time, much like modern day big cats. Probably like certain species of cat today, they were probably solitary hunters. There's no evidence at the moment for them being social hunters, but it's also very possible they just didn't simply need to be. The prey they were feeding on weren't too large. This animal was a gnarly looking beast, and it must have evoked sheer dread in anything that crossed its path. Also, when it comes to animals like the saber-toothed cats, which are very distant relatives of animals like the Gorgonopsians, saber-tooths didn't start evolving until somewhere around the mid-Miocene. So we're talking somewhere around 15 to 17 million years ago. And even if you're talking about earlier members of Felidae, which is what the saber-toothed cats are a part of, just the family Macrodontidae, which is the family that consists of all the different types of saber-toothed cats. There wasn't just like one or two species, and there was no such thing as saber-toothed tiger. Tigers and saber-tooths are very distantly related, despite them being members of Felidae. Felidae first appeared what looks like to be somewhere around 30 million years ago during the early Oligocene epoch. So this, even those two distinct families, like I mentioned, the Uintatheres beforehand, were far after the Gorgonopsians disappeared at the end of the Permian around 250 million years ago. But other therapsids would continue into the Triassic, and then even today. This animal, his description of Pemphiphonius reflects the awe and terror this ancient predator likely inspired in the animals it hunted, as well as in the researchers who studied its fossil. Wow, that's a really good skull. That's a very distinct canine. But besides even that, this is interesting though over here. Yeah, it's just part of his. Oh, okay. That, well. Yeah, it's just part of his bottom jaw. I thought it was a tooth for a second. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Gorgonopsians don't have those distinct type of teeth back there. Also, when it comes to the synapses, as you can tell here with the diagram, these animals were probably capable of somewhat chewing to an extent, approaching like a hyena standard of chewing. Even the earlier Dimetrodon could chew to an extent. This was a very early and unique way of breaking down food, unlike pretty much all predators beforehand. So, this part of what made animals like these types of therapsids so special, but also very distinct long canines. This looks longer compared to its skull than when looking at Inostrancevia. Wonder how big Pamphonius is, though. This could be located over in the Rio de Romano Formation over in southeastern Brazil. So this dates to somewhere around 251 to 259 million years ago during the last 10 million years of the Permian. Epiphanius bikai was a member of the Therapsid group, specifically within the Dinocephalian suborder, known for its formidable size and bone crushing capabilities. But yeah, but how big is it? I mean, that's what I'm wondering. This group, which lived before the dinosaurs, was characterized by thick skulls, a feature that contributed to their nickname, Terrible Heads. Oh, wait, is that referring to Gorgonopsian? I don't know. The skull of Pamphonius measuring over 40 centimeters. That's somewhere around like I'm going to guess 18 inches. Not 18 inches. No, yeah, could be somewhere around 18 to 20 inches. Is a clear indicator of its impressive and predatory nature. It was the largest terrestrial predator we know of from the Permian in South America. The creature's large, sharp canine teeth were perfectly suited for capturing and subduing prey. Well, also, unlike the saber-toothed cats, when it comes to the distinct canines of these Gorgonopsians, even the larger species, they were much more robust. Many species of saber-toothed cat had to be quite careful where they placed their canines. They weren't meant for coming into contact with bone, whereas Gorgonopsians they didn't have to be as cautious. So we're perfectly suited for capturing and subduing prey, and its powerful bite capable of crushing bone suggests that it may have had a diet similar to that of modern hyenas. I mean, I modern yeah, yeah, I just mentioned this. Well, it's um I think what it means by a similar diet to the modern hyenas, I've seen this with other comparisons of different prehistoric animals, is that these animals would have hunted their prey a lot more than they would scavenge, which makes sense because there's only so many times you're going to find a fresh carcass out in the region. And well, I'd say very few times where it's fully intact and fresh, and much more often it's probably going to be rotten or there's nothing at all. But, also hyenas pretty tough digestive system, but, besides that, it looks like they were just feeding on wide variety of other, anapsids, possibly even other Gorgonopsian species in the region, maybe even the different temnospondyle amphibians that existed during this time. Ones such as the Australornithopter, which despite its name sounding like it's from Australia, which it's possible they might have existed there since this was during the time of Pangea. But this has been found in the Rio de Romano Formation within southeastern Brazil. And this animal existed, I believe, somewhere around 260 million years ago and was probably feeding on different species of fish. This animal could reach somewhere around 8 feet in length, and this was technically an early relative of the later early Cretaceous Coolosuchus, despite these temnospondyls evolving a more crocodilomorph-like look to them. And it's just interesting because they're actually amphibians. Now, it is very possible that the temnospondyls were the predecessors to salamanders of today. And just here's a distinct diagram of the skeleton. This is very intact. I mean, this is quite impressive. Many temnospondyls do not come out like this, depending on what period. The Permian, there's actually quite a bit of a success with intact skeletons of several individuals that were. I'm talking about specifically during the time of Dimetrodon. I forgot the name of the specific species, but there were over 20 of them that were covered in sediment during a flash flood. Let's see. Oh, okay. So now we have bumped into Contucovia, which was a bit larger than the Australoperniton. So this animal could reach over 10 feet or 3 meters in length and was probably feeding on different species of fish, might have even gone after different species of smaller temnospondyls. They were really quite small individuals. And this animal possibly existed somewhere around 256 million years ago. Mm, Oh, yeah, these two are the same amphibian. But yes, they're both temnospondyls. And this was specifically, though, a member of the Chilurgidae lineage of temnospondyls, which first evolved somewhere around 276 million years ago and would end up going extinct somewhere around 247 million years ago during the beginning of the Triassic, which is interesting because we see quite a few mass extinctions occur at around that 247 million year mark, not just with like temnospondyl amphibians, but even different proto mammals, different lineages of reptiles, and even different members of Archosauromorpha, which would later evolve into the dinosaurs and pterosaurs. So the dentition and cranial structure of Pampophonia suggests a species highly adapted to its environment. Paleontologists speculate that this predator not only hunted large prey, but may have scavenged as well. Most predators will scavenge if the carcass is fresh enough. Um, if there's not a lot of other food running around at this, sometimes I find it silly when occurs. Now, there could be certain predators that can be quite picky when it comes to fresh food, but usually they take advantage of it, using its powerful bite to break through bones, similar to modern day carnivores that feed on carrion. Carrion is a dead carcass. So, wow. Yeah, this is a really good looking skull. Now, you can tell that this is also not a dinosaur either because it is missing that distinct hole in the middle, which is where the anorbital fenestra would be. Instead, you simply see the ear, and not the ear, that's the eye. And then there would also be these holes at the back of their skull, which you would find over in Dimetrodon, and you can find on every single mammal today, from the shrew to the blue whale. And there's his nostril. Yeah, very distinct entry. Let's keep going. The Pamphonius fossil provides a unique glimpse into the terrestrial ecosystems just before the largest mass extinction in Earth's history, known as the Permian Triassic extinction event. This catastrophic event wiped out nearly 86% of all animal species. I've heard as much as 90%, but it's really hard to distinct how bad this extinction was. But at least in the past 545 million years, this was the worst mass extinction to occur. Um, Marking the end of an era and the beginning of the rise of dinosaurs. Well, so far, the dinosaurs wouldn't evolve between or until somewhere around 10 to, um, I'd say 10 to 15 million years after the extinction happened. So it wasn't immediate, unlike kind of what you see with the massive dinosaur extinction event, and then right afterwards, mammals just skyrocketed in the different variety, brain size, and even um, just overall size in their body size in general. Whereas it took a while for the different animals after this extinction event, possibly because it's worse. For the before this mass extinction, however, the land was dominated by species like Pamphonius, which played a critical role in the ecological balance. Its discovery, okay, it's kind of repeating itself. Let's see. So the fossil was found. Oh wait, hold on. The fossil was unearthed from Middle Permian rocks, an area where bones are rare but occasionally hold exceptional surprises. The region, rich in paleontological potential, has yielded other significant fossils in recent years, offering new insights into the prehistoric world of South America. Um, Okay. So anything else? Okay. So, is there anybody else? Oh, right. There's this little guy. This is a member of the Dys, Dicynodontidae lineage of the proto mammals. So, this is also a therapsid, and this is specifically um, Rotoseuchodon. And this animal would have mainly fed on different species of ferns during this time. And you can see here it's even surrounded by horsetails, which is a type of fern. And Rotoseuchodon was probably only about a little over 4 pounds or 2 kilograms. And this animal was probably or possibly a food source for Pomponius, considering it probably existed somewhere around 255 million years ago during the late Permian. And its kind, the Dicynodonts in general, would end up going extinct somewhere around 201 million years ago at the end of the Triassic and the beginning of the Jurassic boundary. And they first evolved about 270 million years ago. Okay. Well, it's good to hear that we found a very well intact specimen of Pomponius. And let me know in the comments what your favorite species of Permian animal is. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.